Hello, Flosstube friends. Welcome and welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Thank you for stopping by for a visit. Today is Saturday, July 17th. I believe my last update was around June 18th, so a little bit longer to get back to making another video than I would like. However, I have attempted this video a couple of different times, well, maybe like 4 times to be exact, and you know, life keeps getting in the way or technical difficulties. So hopefully this time will work. I am going to talk to you today about cross stitch. Oh, by the way, my name is Suzette, also known as Primitive Stitcher, here on YouTube as well as on Instagram, even though I don't post regularly on Instagram. I'm more of a lurker. So today I'm going to talk about my works in progress, some finishes, some new starts, and finally a couple of different things that I've purchased and some plans for the rest of the summer. The first thing that I want to talk about is my works in progress. So maybe about two or so weeks ago, I decided to start something that I call 2 red threads, and I know that there are others out there who are doing 1 red thread, but I have at least 4, maybe 5 projects that stitched singly in red, and in an effort to get more work accomplished on them, I decided to do 1 red thread on each of them, each of 2 of them on every day. So my first one, I do 1 red thread in the morning with my morning coffee, and then I typically do 1 in the afternoon or early evening with a coffee then. The first one is called the Burgundy Band Sampler, and I think this was a stitch along in 2020, and it's by I Stitch Designs, and Carol has a Facebook page, I believe under that same name. They have moved on since to other samplers. It's a 26 week, words today are hard, 26 week stitch along, and you get a little section every week. I don't have a finished photo to show you because you just get the printout of each section each week. So when I picked this up a couple of weeks ago, I think I was in progress on week 6. And since picking it up and doing 1 thread every morning, I am about to complete week 8. And here I'll show you the first weeks. So week 8 started right here with the heart row, and there's a couple more lines here to finish, and I'll have week 8 completed. My lighting is not the best today, but I'm just gonna go with it. I am stitching this on a band. You do not have to stitch it on a band, but I went ahead and bought the band of my choice. And I am using a sulky, I'm almost completed 1 reel, sulky 12 weight. And I'm not sure of if the color number is 712-1147. That's what it says on the end of the spool, but it's easy to stitch with, and it gives very good coverage on this band, which I think might be a 28 count, possibly a 30. So that is my progress, and I'm going to continue on, hopefully, with getting one strand of floss in each day. I have a long way to go, you can see. I'm going to try to put these semi away as we go, and this is in a bag from Kindred Stitcher, Lisa. Beautiful bag. Next, what I worked on next, and I was showing this last time I was working on it, is one by With Thy Needle and Thread, and it's called Mansion House at Fox Hollow. And I think that I was working on finishing the bricks in this one. Let me see if I have something to put behind here. And I did get the bricks completed and started in on the door before I put it aside. And this one is being stitched on 30 count parchment by Weeks Dye Works, 2/2, calling the using the called for over dies. Oh, there's a huge shadow there. Sorry about that. I need to go in and finish the roof and fill in the windows. So I set that one aside. But hopefully I'll get more progress on that soon. Next up is by Stacy Nash, Grace Bridges. And I think when I showed this last time, I made quite a bit of progress on this time. I worked on it during Mania. I know on Mania I had finished the top portion. Hold it back here so you can get the full. So I had finished this, all the alphabet, and I brought just this tiny little piece here on the tree down as a starting point for when I picked it back up. So I finished all of this, and that was one ginormous mustard colored house, but I love the end result. And so I really don't have that much more to go. I have a couple more birds down here, a few motifs over here, and then I have the gentleman pulling and the horses pulling the cart. So I really want to pick this back up sooner rather than later. And I'm stitching this on 35 count parchment by Weeks, stitching it one strand of floss over 2 linen threads, which is what it's called for, using the this might be DMC. Let me see what she calls for. Yes, this is using all DMC. Then that brought us to, that was in the beginning of July. I think I hear my son home. And I'm trying not to stop this video, but I think he's going to come through the back door, which is right over there. The beginning of July, when we found out that Barb Adams had passed away. Hold, please. Okay. It is now later in the day. it wasn't my son, it was the mailman, and then it was my son, and then it was my daughter calling. So I am determined to finish this. I'm trying to remember where we left off. Oh yes. So we got the news that Barb Adams of Blackbird Designs had passed away. And I think anyone in the stitching community who has ever stitched Blackbird Designs, admired them, taken a class with them, is just heartbroken for Barb's family, for Amma, and let's face it, for us, we lost such a talented lady in this industry. So I had previously started the For the Birds Loose Feathers piece back, gosh, a while ago. And it was something that was prompted by Brenda of the dynamic duo Laura and the Serial Starter. I think they had been to a class at the attic and someone had stitched all 9 charts on one piece of fabric, and that prompted me to go, oh, I like that. And I had all the charts already, and so I started my project. And as it happens, you know, other charts came along and that got set aside, and so I decided to go ahead and pull it back out and put a few stitches in. And I'm starting with, you know, number 1, it's Spring Fever. And these are housed in my project bag from Made by Mama Joan with the appropriate Blackbird Designs fabrics. And when I picked it up, I had the border, the bird, and the upper part of the branch, this little bird, and I don't think I had any of this tree, so I finished this tree, and I started on the basket, and I still have some fruit to complete in the basket. I'm stitching this piece on 36 count Wren by Picture This Plus, with the call for overdyes 1 strand over 2 threads. Which reminds me, someone made a comment about how my stitches look very sparse. Most of the time I do stitch with 1 strand of floss over 2 threads, even when the fabric count is a lower count. I like that look. I understand that look is not for everyone, but I like that primitive look. Sometimes I will go ahead, like Mansion House at Fox Hollow. I am stitching that using 2 strands. That's on a 30 count. Just because when I saw the completed design, it was stitched in with 2 strands, and I liked that look of that particular design. But most of the time I will only stitch with 1 strand. I do have some older pieces that I started out with 2 strands, and you will see one of those later in the video, that I'm just going to continue on with the 2 strands because that's what I started with and I didn't feel like starting over. But as a general rule for myself, I prefer the finer, daintier, more primitive look of 1 strand of floss over 2 strands of thread. Anyway, so that is my progress on Blackbird Designs. I think what I will do, I know that Brenda and Laura have, it's the first weekend of the month sale going on, and just in an effort to keep this project active, I might go ahead and participate in that sale informally. So that was that project. And the last whip that I have to show you today, I haven't actively participated in dark 13 stitching, but I don't know, the mood struck me on the 13th, and I pulled a piece out of my archives. This is one of my oldest works in progress. I started it in 2014. It's by the Primitive Hare, and I don't have a photo of the finished piece because it was a stitch along that started in June of 2014 and went to October of 2014, and she would send you via email the section, but it's called Early Witches, Halloween Mystery Sale by the Primitive Hare. And so I picked this up on the 13th, and this is the one that I was talking about. I'm stitching it with 2 strands of floss over 2 linen threads. And when I picked this up, I had completed, let's see if I can, I had completed the angel at the top, the tombstone angel, and I had brought this border maybe about not quite 3/4 of the way across. So on the 13th, I finished the border and started stitching this motif. And there's a matching motif on this side. And then I know you can go online and look at the finished piece. It's called Early Witches. There are 4 designs that go here, and then some stuff on the bottom. And I'm stitching this just with the DMC 2/2 on a 30 count linen that I have no idea, it's been too long. And I didn't go back and look in my journal to see what fabric it is. So I'm looking forward to trying to keep up with that on the 13th of each month to get some progress on that piece. Lay that out of the way. So those are all of my works in progress. I'm going to move on to new starts. And my first new start was A Stitch in Time by Brenda Gervais with the needle and thread, and it's called Pinball and Needle and Scissor Keep. It will look something like this when finished. And I am stitching this one on 35 count gunmetal. What did I do with my cardboard? With the called for over dyes. And I finished the first part of the scissor keep. I finished the second part of the scissor keep, and now I'm working on the pinball. And I'm using 1 strand of floss over 2 linen threads. I've had this one in my stash for a while, and I really enjoyed, you'll see a finish that I did on darker fabric, and I was just like, I didn't think I would enjoy stitching that as much as I actually did. So I pulled this out, and I don't know that I really like stitching on black fabric, but the dark grays and the dark blues are enjoyable to me. Next up is another new start, also by Brenda Gervais, that I have had in my stash since October of 2019 called Jack Frost. I know you all have seen this. I think I purchased this at the Midwest Cross Stitch Retreat in Amana, Iowa. And I've decided to use this pattern as my annual Christmas ornament that I stitch for my family members. And so I started this, and this is on 36 count Winter Brew by R&R. And there's my finish. So I have 4 more to go. I just need to order the other plastic ornaments to fully finish them in. And I stitched that using the call for over dyed threads. So that brings me to my finishes, of which the first one is one that I was working on in Mania, and I was so close to a finish that I just went ahead and went with it. And it is called Midnight in the Strawberry Garden, the Threadboard and Strawberry Pin Keep. And this one is being stitched on, or was stitched on 32 count charcoal. And this one I did stitch 1 over 1 with the call for. And I think when I showed it the last time, I just had, what, maybe part of the house to finish. And hopefully one day I will get to finish that into the pin keep. My next finish is the second of my 2 threads, and it is by Modern Folk Embroidery, Black Lives Matter Pincushion. And this is was stitched on 40 count, either vintage country mocha or just country mocha, using DMC 3777 and 822. And so the last time you saw it, I think that I was working on this piece. I finished that up, or maybe I had started the band that goes around. And actually I think I had, because I'd stitched some of the lettering. I finished that, and then I went back, and with the 1 red thread I filled in that. So I'm happy to have that finished, and that probably will be my first FFO when I start that process, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So that brings me to, what have I purchased lately? Not that much. I'm trying to complete some things before I purchase more things. But I was watching Barb at Lost in Floss, and she was showing a piece that she had finished for kind of the 4th of July decor in her home. And while I own so many of With Thy Needle and Thread pieces, I found a couple that I didn't own. And this is the one that Barb was showing her finish on, and it was just adorable. And it's called Strawberries and Stripes. I probably will not finish it in the peat pot, but do something similar to what Barb did. And you know, we know that one chart can't travel alone. So while I was at Jenn's stitching niche, I bought a couple more things, and this also caught my eye. And it's with thy needle and thread, and it's called Brambleberry Bunting. Made into a drum. And speaking of drums, I think I probably had this the last time that I filmed, but I didn't show it. It's the Happy Birthday America by With Thy Needle and Thread, and I got the kit from Country Sampler. I didn't manage to get that stitched this year, but maybe for next year. And they kitted it up for me. But in my order from Jenn's stitching niche, I saw the pattern that I had been eyeing since market and just hadn't taken that final step of pushing the purchase button. And this is by Hello from Liz Matthews, the Engraver's Chart, which I fell in love with at the Needlework Expo. But like I said, I just held it kind of in the back of my mind of I will get that someday. And what I would like to do is do a series of black or dark gray charts to hang in my bedroom. My bedroom's color scheme is like the dark gray, black, and kind of a cream or off-white. Also, I belong to the Threads of History Club from Spring Green in Wisconsin, and I did receive the most recent kit, which is called One Nation by Samplers Not Forgotten. Beautiful pieces. I was a little shocked by the price point though. But I will stitch it and love it. And like I said, it's a full kit, and as always, packaged impeccably, and it makes you not want to disturb them because they're so pretty. And then my final purchase, which I couldn't pass up, it was only $1, is from a thrift store here in town. And while I do ornaments for my children and grandson and myself, I decided that I would try to start doing an ornament a year for the animals in the family. And you guys may or may not remember Morris, who was living with me for a while, my daughter's cat. And I happened to see this kit, and I thought either this one down here or this one up here would make a cute Christmas ornament for Morris. Maybe this one year and this the next year. And it's never opened, fully kitted. Not looking forward to sorting the threads, but oh well. So now I'm on the hunt for something similar to this, only with the black lab on it, so I can also make Thane a Christmas ornament every year. That's it for my purchases this time around. My plans, which are very loose plans, I must say. The pieces that I have started that I want to continue the 2 red threads on, I have a modern folk embroidery piece that was a sale many years ago. Also one of my older works in progress that I had archived for a while. I could choose that one to be my second red thread, or I have Harriet Salt, also a large piece. So what I would like to do is have one large piece, which I consider the band sampler a large piece. It's a 26 week piece originally. So that would be my large piece. And then the Black Lives Matter was what I would consider my small one red thread. So rather than starting the, or getting back to, I should say, either Harriet Salt or, actually I have Jacob's piece right here from Modern Folk Embroidery, and it was, what was it? It was a 2018 piece called The Four Seasons Mystery Cell, a primitive Quaker year, and this was piece 1. And I'm doing it very primitive style. Trying not to lose my magnet here. And so this fell to the wayside. This is dyed even weave, dyed by me, very primitive looking, but that's all the further that I got on that piece in January. But so that's an option along with Harriet Salt. It's a large piece, so I don't want to have the band sampler and either Harriet Salt or the Four Seasons, a Quaker year going at the same time. So I'd like to pick a smaller piece to work on while I'm working on the band sampler. And I've had this in my stash for a while and thought it would make a good second piece. And it is called Algender's 1875 by With Thy Needle and Thread, a very popular piece. I thought that would be a great small one to put one red thread into. So that's a possibility. I do have some smaller sampler patterns, but I think I would like to choose the With Thy Needle and Thread piece first. All my other works in progresses are large. So in an effort to have some smaller pieces, I may start some new things. I like to have a project, a car project, in case I get stuck somewhere waiting. And I'm sorry, I did not press this one because I just went and pulled it out of the car. So I'll show you this one. It's Notforgotten Farm, Rest Thy Scissors. And it's going to look something like this when complete. I have the tray to put the piece in. And I have a very small start, because like I said, I keep it in the car and I only pull it out. I'm so sorry. This is not usually me with wrinkly things, but that's where I am on that. So, it counts as a whip, no matter where it is, right? Whether it's in the car or it's in the house. But I pulled out some other things that sometimes you just need a break from your large pieces, and these are contenders. The first being from the book Autumn at Notforgotten Farm. Beautiful book. And the piece that I'm thinking about is called Turkey Trot and looks like that. Now, that is a large house, but I consider that a small piece in comparison to some of my samplers. The other, hold please. The other two pieces that I'm considering are also from Notforgotten Farm, and they are Christmas pieces. These have been around for a while. I've had these for a long while. The first one is Parson Brown. So cute. And the second one is called Merrymaker. And because these are both, well, I think all three use DMC, I have those in my stash. I have plenty of fabric in my stash. So I may just add those in as kind of a breather from my larger projects. We'll see. No promises. Apart from that, I'm just going to continue with my current larger pieces. I am going to continue with the 2 red threads and work on my Christmas ornaments, and we'll see how far I can get in the next month. I'm off until August 17th. I go back, well, the teachers go back the 17th. The students don't come back until after that, well after that, but we have to go back on the 17th. I'm also busily making journals and thread books. I, as of right now, am waiting on my new printer to arrive. Maybe I'll put a sneak peek of some of the things up on my Facebook group, also called Primitive Stitcher, but they're all handmade. It's quite time consuming, and I am in the process, almost done, of reworking some of the pages in the journal. And again, I've just been playing around with it since I'm waiting on my new printer. But that's what I'm up to. Just doing normal life stuff, working in the garden, cleaning the house, fun things. But that's it for my stitching. I am trying to make this fairly short, but now I see it's gone beyond my 30 minutes that I like to keep them so that they upload faster. But I hope this finds you all well and you're getting lots of stitchy time in. I will try again not to be a whole month before I come back. Until then, my friends, as always, happy stitching. Bye for now.